Hey everyone, Bill Lethman here for MoneyEvolution.com. So today's video blog, I'm continuing our series on home buying. So if you haven't already, check out the other videos that we have in this series. They should be part of a playlist on our YouTube channel. And again, if you haven't already, head over to MoneyEvolution.com. There we have on our free resources section the Money Evolution Guide to Buying and Financing Your Home. And all of the tips and strategies that we're talking about here in these videos is part of this guide. All you have to do is put your email address in and we'll email you a PDF of this and lots of good strategies. So I think this will probably be the final video in this little series, at least for now. But in this final video, I just want to talk about some last tips and strategies, and also talk about some mistakes that I see some people making when buying a house. So let's say you've gone through and you've done all of your market research and you find a house that you really love and you want to put an offer in on this. So I'm not an attorney, so I'm not going to tell you exactly how to make the offer, but what I do want to say is that there's two things that you should have in your offer. Number one is you should have a contingency for an inspection period, and you should give yourself an adequate amount of time. Usually 7 days should be enough. If you think you need a little bit longer, you can build that in. And what you're going to do during that inspection phase is you're going to hire a professional inspector. They're not always super cheap, but depending on your area, you know, a few $100s, maybe up to $500 or $600 should be more than sufficient to hire somebody and have this inspector go out to the house. I think you definitely would be wise to be there as well, and I would follow that inspector around. Even though they're going to give you a really nice report with all of the details about the house, I think it's always good to follow them around, because you might pick up on a few things that they'll talk about there with you, and you can get some immediate feedback. You can also ask some questions there, and you're paying them, so I think you should do that. And they're going to look at things like the structural integrity of the house. They can look at some of the mechanical systems in the house, the water system, the heater, the air conditioner, all of that stuff, hot water, and then give you an idea of how old it is, and maybe if it's getting close to needing a replacement, a new roof. And those are things that you're going to want to keep an itemized list of. And after that inspection period is over, especially if you find anything that it was any big surprise, maybe you didn't realize that the furnace had less than a year of life left potentially, or that the roof was in dire need of replacing, or they did some kind of a structural mistake when they built the house. Don't feel bad. You can either do one of two things. You can either walk away from the house completely and say, hey, that's a bigger challenge or problem than I thought it was going to be, or you can go back to the seller and ask for some money off. So if you said, hey, you know what, I didn't realize that the furnace was going to need to be replaced. We're going to estimate that's going to cost X number of dollars. Can you work with us here and take some money off of the purchase price? And basically one of two things. They can say yes or no, or maybe you meet somewhere in the middle, but it doesn't hurt to ask. And if it's something that is something that you didn't expect and it's going to put you in a bad position, don't feel bad to walk away from the house. The second thing you're going to want to build into your offer is you want to make it contingent on your successful approval of a mortgage. And you also, what I like to do is specify what type of mortgage you're going to get, and I think that makes the seller feel a little bit more comfortable. So say in the offer you're going to have the successful mortgage of a 20% down payment and a financing rate that's no more than, let's say, 4.5% or whatever it may be, and you build that in there. So if interest rates spike, or for some reason you can't get the mortgage that you want, it gives you another out to walk away. And then also in that offer as well, that you're going to, it's based on a successful appraisal of the house. So I actually just had a client this happened to, and unfortunately I didn't have the conversation with him before he went ahead and did it, but he put an offer in on a house, and the offer was accepted, and in the process of getting his mortgage, the house came back appraised $10,000 less than what he paid for the house. And so in that situation, the bank is still going to require the 20% down of whatever the appraisal is, but he had to come to closing with an extra $10,000. And if the bank isn't going to appraise that for that extra amount, that $10,000 more, chances are the house just isn't really worth that. And so that would have been an excellent time to go back to the seller and say, hey, you know what, I love your house, it's exactly what we wanted, but the bank didn't appraise it for what we thought it was going to be worth. Can you work with us here, and I'll pay what the bank appraised for. And especially in that situation, the seller would actually probably be pretty wise to just accept that and take $10,000 off of the selling price, because chances are the next person that comes along is probably going to run into the same situation where it's not going to appraise for what the house was sold for, and not everybody has an extra $10,000 to put down on the house. And so they could very well potentially have that house sitting on the market for a long time. And a couple other last tips that I talked a little bit about on the other videos here. Number one, sell your existing house first. That's a big one. You don't want to have two house payments. Even if you can afford it, it's a cash flow drain, and it's just not something that you want to really get into. And then also too, you want to budget for any improvements that you're planning on making to the house, and have that money set aside so that if you're planning on buying any furniture or doing any remodeling, you've got that money set up there. And then if you are planning on doing any remodeling, make sure you stick within a price range of fixtures that's going to keep your house still on a price per square foot within that range. If you did the research we talked about in the last video, that it's going to stay within that range of where houses are selling for in that neighborhood. And the final thing I want to talk about here is property taxes. And so this was actually something that same client that overpaid for the house, and the house didn't appraise for what he paid for it. He also got a big surprise when he got his first property tax bill. And he thought he had figured out how much the taxes were going to cost, but it was based on what the previous owner was paying in property taxes. And sometimes in a lot of areas, I know here in Michigan, those property taxes are held down lower for people that are existing homeowners, and those property taxes oftentimes reset when they get a new sale price. So the way to do that, and I'm sure every area is going to be different, but here in Michigan, on the State of Michigan website, they have the Michigan Property Tax Estimator. And if you just put that into an internet search engine, you should be able to find that and put in your the purchase price that you're paying for the house and the neighborhood and the school district and all that, and it should give you a pretty good estimate of how much those property taxes are going to be. So anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got some great information. Again, if you haven't already, head over to moneyevolution.com, download the free guide, and check out some of the other blogs and articles that we have there. We've got lots of good resources to help you plan for a better financial future. Thanks. I'll see everyone back in our next video.